The other piece of news that came out yesterday was
Whoa. Stop.
Okay.
Breaking news. New reveal trailer, I think, may have just hit for Sonic.
Oh,
Nope, just kidding.
got my hopes up there, boy.
Yeah, I thought you were about to be like Fallout 70.
I thought it was going to be a big announcement.
I just got some YouTube notifications all of a sudden. Never mind, false alarm.
I thought it was going to be like, hey, come to my website. I got some free pizza rolls. Just
All right.
give me your web address and I'll send you pizza rolls.
I'm sorry, I messed up.
We forgive you. All right, Fallout 76. This is the part where I don't follow Fallout a lot, so I'm going to be doing a lot of deferring to my panel. That's why I have my panel here. Ned is really big into Fallout. Andrew's really big into Fallout. I assume other people here are really big into Fallout. So, and actually, I specifically asked Andrew here because, so I watched that trailer. For those of you who don't know, there was a trailer for Fallout 7, something called Fallout 76 came out. I watched it because I don't follow Fallout. I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool trailer. And I didn't get a whole lot out of it other than the fact that it is a new game. And then I see Andrew's like, okay, hey, I'm going to post my thoughts on this trailer. And, you see the first chunk of it on Facebook and you have to click see more. And I'm like, okay, that's like 2 or 3 sentences down there. No, the dude wrote a book about a trailer that told me nothing. So I want to kind of just hand it off to you guys. I'll interject here and there, but for the most part, other than like if you guys start talking over each other, I'll moderate a little bit. But so Andrew, since I invited you here specifically to talk about this, why don't I go ahead and hand it off to you, and we'll branch out from there.
So Bethesda announced 2 days ago. It was a kind of a indirect announcement. They updated their Twitter status with a GIF that just says "Please stand by," which is the exact same thing they did when they kind of pseudo-announced Fallout 4. And so naturally everyone's freaking out. And then 24 hours later, after they released that Twitter update, it was a GIF. They started live streaming, and it was a bobblehead in front of a TV with that same GIF playing full screen, and random things that are happening. Person would walk by holding balloons. A little Vault Boy sock puppet would dab. Like I'm not entirely certain what that was about. Rad as all get out, but I don't get it. There was a dog, very random stuff, and then 24 hours after the release of the GIF, Magic Man himself, God Howard, stands in front of the camera, and he's like, "Have we been waiting long enough, ladies and gentlemen? I think we've been waiting long enough." And they dropped the trailer, which is 1 minute 34 seconds of pure goodness, covered by John Denver, the Madman. And since then, it's kind of set the internet on storm. So, Ned, what are your thoughts on this?
So, how deep down the rabbit hole do you all want to go?
Let's start it at 2 minutes and 30 seconds for this initial look at. Exactly that long.
Okay, so I was kind of surprised by some of the things in the reveal Twitch stream. The balloons kind of obvious in retrospect based on what's in the teaser trailer.
Yeah.
The thing that got me was the puppet, because if you remember some of the promo stuff for Fallout 3, there was a promo comic written and drawn by the Penny Arcade guys for Fallout 3 called The Ballad of Vault 77.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah. Okay.
And Vault 77, and this was made canonical to the Fallout lore, was literally one guy who was sent to this vault designed for a normal-sized vault, but it was one guy and a box of puppets.
Mm-hmm.
And the comic is basically this guy interacting with these puppets that he finds in the box there and his slow descent into madness.
Okay.
And there's actually an Easter egg in Fallout 3 where you can find the Vault 77 jumpsuit, and the slavers in Paradise Falls are scared of the guy because apparently the Puppet Man, as they call him, nearly wiped them out with just him and his puppet. So with the puppet appearing in the stream,
Yeah, when I saw that it was Vault 76, I was like, we were this close to greatness. We were-
This is the game everybody wanted, was Puppet Simulator.
so anyway, so I'll give you the quick version of the lore. Vault 76, we first hear about it in Fallout 3 when we get to the Citadel and we look at the Vault-Tec records there that the Brotherhood of Steel have salvaged. And Vault 76 is one of the control vaults in the Vault-Tec system. So there was no weird Vault-Tec mind control or altering experiments, no psychologically scarring things. No, it was designed to be the control vault where the vault would be sealed for 20 years, and at the end of the 20 years, everyone would be released to start reclaiming America, which is, why we see some of the things we do in the trailer, talking about Reclamation Day and how, in Vault 76 is where our future begins. But there was a couple things that Andrew pointed out in his that's a little bit odd in the teaser trailer.
Yeah, and do you mind if I mention that real quick?
Go right ahead.
Okay, it didn't really hit me the first time I watched it. I was so hyped. I was just watching it. And then, of course, I do a second watch through just because, hey, it's big news. And right around the 57 mark, I'm like, hey, I wonder what those trophies say. And I put YouTube into 4K mode, and I zoom in, and it gets dark really fast. The big trophy, the shiniest one that you see, right in the middle of the screen, reads Outstanding Achievement Award in appreciation for your commitment and dedication to our isolation program, sacrificing many so some can live.
Okay.
And I was like, hang on, was that sacrificing many, or does that say, sacrificing a lot or much? No, it says, you can read it there in Patrick's, what he's got pulled up. It says sacrificing many so some can live. Now, comically enough, the next to it, Excellence and Bravery, is about he ate canned mystery meat. And that they're glad. The last line is, we are proud of you and happy that you're not dead. That's last sentence there. But, that Outstanding Achievement Award, that kind of rocked my senses. And for the rest of the trailer, you see signs of something bad happening. After this, we immediately cut to what looks like unfinished laundry. Play through unfinished laundry, belongings, just kind of there. An abandoned terminal, replaying the same animation over and over again. Pause here. So this is what really. You go back to that dinery scene. This is what really kind of sealed the deal for me. You've got prepared food which hasn't been touched. You've got a cup that's been overturned. It looks like they just left it abandoned. There's what looks like the pot I'm assuming the food was prepared in, still laying there. Nothing's been put away. The food hasn't been touched. And then when you go out, we zoom out of this room and we go into the next scene, and we see an abandoned vault. Now, in Vault 4, we met, I think it was Vault 81. They were a vault which had opened themselves up to trade, and they had people who would go out and sell outside the vault, but they still use the vault, which makes sense. If you're trying to reclaim land, you're trying to reestablish, human dominance over nature, you're going to want a safe place to regroup and stuff. You're not going to abandon this pristine, functioning facility, which looks really clean, considering it's been in use for 20 years. You're not going to just leave and abandon that. So where's the people at? Did something bad happen? Did raiders kill them? Well, in Fallout New Vegas, we saw that whenever raiders take over a vault, they trash the place. And this just looks like a party just happened and no one cleaned up. But if you zoom out, you go in the video a little bit further, get the balloons on the left. There we go. So I don't know if you can see it, but back there in the cafeteria area on the left, there's even more abandoned food. And if you go to Fallout.com, there's a different angle of that scene. And back where those two balloons on the table are, you actually see a beer pong set up that hasn't been touched. It looks like it was just set up. So there's a lot of stuff here that makes it look like the people are just gone. Something sudden happened.
I don't know how you can be so insensitive. Infinity War just happened. Okay, could you have a little bit of respect to these people?
I'm sorry. I don't feel so well.
Oh!
Best part, I haven't even seen it, so I can make all these jokes.
Oh, okay, cool.
But there's a lot of stuff happening in this. Ned mentioned it was supposed to open 20 years after the Great War. According to the date on the Pit Boy at the beginning, it's 25 years happened. So that gets me up. Did Bethesda fudge the lore? Because they've done a few minor tweaks here and there, which is to be understood because the game is, the lore as a whole, the story is a work. Oh, whoa! Can your Mac do this?
All right.
Yes,
Quick
Darman.
quick question. Yeah. So, what is the Great War and the significance of this? When is this happening? I guess is the
So
question.
for
20 years after
that was-
Skyrim.
Yeah, 20 years after Skyrim.
When did I take that
the
one?
fifth release of Skyrim, specifically.
Oh God.
Um,
Oh.
Ned is
I
requesting
love
floor.
I love you, God Howard, but why so many releases? I love the game, but why? Anyway, but no. So the Great War happened in. Okay, so for those of us who are unfamiliar with Fallout lore,
Hold up. I want to hear this from Ned. Ned is the
Go.
best storyteller.
go scribe Ned.
Okay. So, what happened in the Fallout timeline? History diverged from our timeline roughly around the end of World War II. Whereas in our timeline, we developed transistors and created, the technologies. We understand it. Instead, in the Fallout timeline, they focused on unlocking the power of the atom. And so that's why you see, fusion cells and microfusion generators running in cars, but the computers and the TVs all look like they run on vacuum tubes because they do. And so in this
So they haven't learned about essentially microtechnology. They don't have any of that. It's like just all tubes and transistors.
Yeah, it's all tubes and transistors, but they have perfected fusion generators to the point where they can literally put it into a device that you can shove into the back of a suit of power armor.
Okay.
So
And then there was
Kind of torn on which one of these two things I think is better.
And so, basically, because they didn't have a lot of the technologies we have today, by the time the 2050s come around in this timeline, there is a huge competition for the Earth's dwindling resources. And it starts with when Europe and the Middle East, Iran specifically, decide to nuke each other over oil reserves.
So racist. Go on.
At which point, the United States, due to, again, dwindling resources and no longer having access to Middle Eastern and South American oil, they annex Canada forcibly.
Ooh.
And basically, China tries to do the same thing with Alaska, which is where the Operation Anchorage DLC came from for Fallout 3. And so at this point, tensions between China and the United States are so high to the point that by the year 2077, on October the 23rd, at 9:47 a.m., both countries exchanged nuclear weapons with each other, and that was the Great War. It lasted 23 minutes.
Oh.
You just pulled that time out of your head. Like, that wasn't in front of you, was it?
No.
This is why I wanted Ned to tell.
Yeah. The precision of numbers is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So
Ryzen processor for a brain.
Jeez. All right. Anyway.
And so, Vault Tech was an American corporation in the Fallout timeline that saw this coming and petitioned the government to set up the vaults. And so, ostensibly, the vaults were designed to save mankind from nuclear annihilation. In reality, Vault Tech, being the extremely evil so-and-sos that they are, decided to use most of the vaults for insane psychological experiments. Like Vault 77, which was a guy and a box of puppets.
It makes sense to me.
Or, for example, it was the vault in Fallout New Vegas where basically the psychological experiment was they were told by the vault's computer that if they didn't sacrifice one person to the computer every year, the entire vault would be wiped out.
Yeah, one of my favorite vault to play through.
I won't give any spoilers about that particular one in case you haven't played Fallout New Vegas, but let's just say with Vault Tech, nothing is ever exactly as it seems.
All right. And so this is one of the first vaults that opened past that 23 minutes.
So Vault 76 was even though it's numbered 76, it was actually one of the first completed vaults because it was done specifically as a joint venture with the US government to celebrate the tricentennial of the United States in the Fallout timeline in 2076, hence Vault 76.
Mhm.
And so that's also the reason why you see that 1776 to 2076 poster in the reveal trailer. And so Vault 76 was one of the control vaults that worked the way it was, the public was told, supposed to. But like Andrew pointed out, something is off in that trailer. And Bethesda's really good about doing this with the Fallout games by, they put this really cheery music over something that is indescribably dark.
Why is Bethesda good at writing games but not always making them?
Because they spend all their resources writing it.
I guess. I mean,
Which I'd rather have, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh, yeah,
Picky of a gamer as I am,
absolutely.
I'd rather
I
have
just-
a great story and have gameplay.
I mean, I just don't like being launched into the space program by trolls.
That's my problem with the Fallout series. I think it's a competent game series, but I think it, along with Skyrim, are two game engines that it's Bethesda. It's time we moved on.
Mhm.
It's been a great time you've had with these engines. They've been really good to you. They've taken you out on dates. They've shown you around the town, but it's time to let them die. Take them back out to the pasture like old Yeller, and we need a new engine, please.
Yeah. I hear people, they come to, and I don't want this to turn into a hate Bethesda.
No, it's not a hate
Yes,
Bethesda. They do good things, but the problem is they're at a point now where it's like, these serves you well. Move on to the next thing, please.
Right.
Let's
But
have
what I'm
new
saying
IP.
is there's people out there who will come to Bethesda's defense, and the defense is, yeah, but they're making this big open world with all these different variables and stuff. You got to expect bugs. And for a while there, I was like, well, okay, that makes sense. And then I played Grand Theft Auto 5, and I was like, no, this is BS. Grand Theft Auto 5 is every bit as big and complicated as a Bethesda game and doesn't have near the issues that Bethesda games have. So I'm not buying it anymore. It's time
How
to.
many reissues of Skyrim do we have now that have all had a chance to fix it? Mods have fixed it way beforehand, and they've done a better job than their dumb Bethesda workshop thing. And it's like, guys, just focus on what you did good. Don't this microeconomy and stuff, man. Please stop.
Yeah.
Bethesda made a really good Star Wars universe equivalent in the
Mm,
video game world.
True.
They did. Elder Scrolls lore is insane, and then Fallout lore is now, because this is fulfilling kind of a lore gap period this new game will be. And so I could see the lore getting pretty in depth fairly quickly. It's like the hub, which is in Fallout 1 or 2, has only been around for 9 years at this point in time, according to the date on the Pip-Boy. Brotherhood of
Okay.
Steel is only 25 years into existence.
Then I have a question for you. What do you think about people who are into the mainline series? Because if I was going to get into a Fallout game, it would be a 1, a 2 with a numeraled version that was like under the normal title. Do you think players who aren't into Fallout as much or who aren't as hardcore fans will get into Fallout 76 because it is kind of more heavy into the lore that new people might not know about?
I think
Well-
that's hard to say anything like that just
I would-
because of the fact that this is a tracer. This isn't like the Let's Go trailer where they showed mechanics, right? This is just, hey, we're doing a thing.
We did a thing, guys. I would say yes, though, because I like to give answers. I'm like, no, I'm joking, but I would say yes. I would say yes. They will still get into it. I mean,
Okay.
Skyrim was the fifth installment of the fifth mainline installment. of a series which has been going on for many, many years.
Right. But it was still encapsulated, kind of, into itself. I mean, they referred to other places, but you didn't have to know about those places to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't played Fallout 1 or 2 or Tactics, or I've only played 3, New Vegas, 4, and this one. I've just read up a lot on the lore so I can appreciate it better. But I don't think you're going to need to know who like the master is, in order to establish, in order to enjoy this game, or anything like that. So
Whoa. When did we get into Doctor Who?
no, we're talking about quality things here.
But it's true.
So
I just need to learn to just shut up and let
Go
the
ahead.
jokes go to myself.
Never happened.
to give my answer on that same question, I think this actually is going to be a good game for people who haven't previously played a Fallout game, because all the rumors and all the speculation and all the leaks point to this not being a traditional RPG.
Right.
They point to it being a survival game set in the Fallout universe.
See, that's
so is that online thing that was going on? Is that been bunked?
That's the thing I got a question on, because the only real leaks, like the only leak I've seen about that, they all come back to Kotaku.
Yeah.
And however you feel about them, they're right on Fallout 4, but broken clocks are right twice a day. So you can pretty much guess where I'm going with that one. I don't think Bethesda is dumb enough to release a Fallout MMO or Rust-like survival game, considering that the survival genre has been dying for about 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They may have made some poor decisions in the past, but not that bad, though.
They're not Boss Key Productions' bad decisions.
As a counterpoint, though, I need to point out something about the development, and that is 2 studios that are working this are the main Bethesda Game Studios and also Bethesda Game Studios Austin, which was Battlecry Studios, which was developing Battlecry, which was a 32-player online multiplayer game.
You don't think?
But I think the key takeaway is that Cliff Blazinski wasn't a part of that team.
Double burn.
But you are right. That it is a good point. It's a good point.
And so the fact that there's rumors of online multiplayer, if they did go to their BSG Austin group, which was formerly Battlecry Studios, which, according to what we know about Battlecry, was in a effective alpha state before it got canceled.
So you think they're using maybe core mechanics from that and implementing them into this somehow?
It would not surprise me at all. And the fact that it's about reclaiming the wasteland, I think you could take... Okay, this is going to be me venting some of my issues with Fallout 4 for a second, but Fallout 4, its key failing to me was that the settlement building mechanic was ancillary to the main gameplay loop.
Yeah.
It was touted as being entirely optional, but it wasn't really. But if you go to actually build up a settlement, it is interrupting the flow of the main game. And I get it's nice, cheap, easy content, but when I'm playing a Fallout game, I'm wanting to progress the story. If I'm having to spend, an hour building a dormitory for a particular settlement just so that they have enough beds so that their happiness gets up to the right level, so I don't have to worry about them getting attacked all the time, that's taking me out of the story. That's hurting my ability to move forward with the game. However, if you were to take that and make it its own separate game, where it's all about building the settlement, where that is the primary focus of the game, I think that would have a greater chance to succeed.
They tried that. It was Fallout Shelter.
Quite the same scale, though.
Yeah, not quite scale, not on the same scale at all. The concept is just settlement management. Oh, you're getting a delivery. Oh, never mind. You rejected it.
Yeah, well, there was I'm over at my parents' house. There was a girl who used to live here who has the same name as my wife, and so occasionally they think that when she gets mail that it's, but it's not. So I was like, no, wrong last name. So that's all.
But yeah, I think, I think if Fallout 76 does turn out to be that online survival game that the Kotaku rumors pointed out to be, I think if it has a settlement building focus, then that could be effective. If it's in the Fallout 4 engine, again, I could see that being potentially effective.
Just give me Judge Dredd Fallout. That's what I want right there. The most awesome thing ever.
Because we all know I am the law.
So I have a question. As somebody who doesn't really follow these, and you guys have been talking about the lore. I do know that Bethesda bought the IP, and then Fallout 3 happened. So there's 2 other Fallout games.
Yeah.
How do those tie in, or do they?
They do, just different stylistic. The gameplay is a lot different.
Yeah, I know. That.
yeah.
So I'm a Fallout 1-2 guy. That's what I grew up on. There's it won out because there's humor. The game, that's just what I remember growing up with Fallout. Yeah. So Fallout 3 was a huge departure. It's akin to what happened with Grand Theft Auto 3. It's almost like the same thing as Grand Theft Auto 2, top down, and then by the way, 3D, and now we can invent all this stuff. So they've definitely and then there was the what was that? The Fallout Tactics game, which was really good actually. I love Tactics game, and it's not perfect, but I liked it. So
okay,
wasn't that turn-based?
Yeah, because it would have been like Final Fantasy Tactics or Front Mission or Ogre Battles, kind of like that too.
So if you're wondering lore-wise where Fallout 1 and 2 fall in, Fallout 1 takes place in 2161. So it'd be taking place roughly 60 years after Fallout 76. And it takes place over on the West Coast. Whereas this is going to be taking place presumably everyone's assuming in Virginia or West Virginia or somewhere in that area, given that, they chose John Denver.
Yeah, for those of you who are watching and you haven't seen the trailer for some reason, go watch the trailer. But if you saw the trailer on here, I had the audio muted for copyright reasons. In fact, even though I had that, if it weren't for the fact that you can see everybody's face down here in the bottom right, I would almost be worried that the video itself would cause a copyright strike. But I'm not super worried about it. So. Jimmy might be later, but I'm not.
Fallout 2, that's the one I always have trouble remembering. I want to say it takes place 50 years after Fallout 1.
Look that up. I got the timeline pulled out. Let's see here.
So, and then New Vegas was not developed by the core team, correct?
Correct. They Bethesda was like, "Hey, we'll fund the game if you make it," and Obsidian was like, "LOL, okay, sure." And then they made a better game than Bethesda did. So Bethesda got mad.
Isn't Obsidian the team that does the South Park RPGs?
No, I
don't know.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Weren't they also the team that did one of the KOTOR games?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I know that.
KOTOR game.
So it's an interesting lineup of games they have there.
So there's Obsidian has a very interesting history with the Fallout franchise.
Yeah.
Obsidian is made up of and has at their head a lot of the people who did Fallout 1 and 2 for Interplay with a little outfit called Black Isle Studios. And
Black Isle, should I know that name?
No.
Oh, it'll live forever in infamy once he finishes telling you the story.
Okay.
So Black Isle Studios developed Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 and was in the middle of developing a project that they called Van Buren and was going to be the eventual Fallout 3 that got canceled when Interplay went under. and most of the ideas that wound up being Fallout Van Buren in the Van Buren project wound up being in Fallout New Vegas, but that's another story. Anyway, there were many in the Black Isle Studios who felt that Interplay sabotaged them, which is why there's an Easter egg in Fallout 3, where if you go to the Museum of Science and Technology, which you have to do for one of the main story quests, you'll find where it's talking about one of the detonations of one of the first atomic bomb tests. It talks about how it happened at Ebony Atoll.
Let me guess.
And how they felt like the bomb failed in a spectacular way and wound up taking out a U.S. spotter ship. I don't remember what it was called. And generally, so when Bethesda came to Obsidian, which is made up of most of the old Black Isle Studios employees, they gave them Fallout New Vegas, and so they took their ideas that they had originally developed for Van Buren, Joshua Graham and the whole Zion National Park bit, all the stuff to do with New Vegas, and they implemented it into Fallout New Vegas.
I'm sorry, I think I missed something.
Was Ebony at was that?
It's
The
another
Ebony
way of
Atoll.
saying Black Isle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the U.S. Navy
Oh.
missile cruiser USS Ebon Atoll was accidentally sunk by the U.S. Navy submarine USS Interface during the Anchorage campaign. The Interface took
Yeah,
the
that was
Ebon
it.
Atoll,
I
where
needed.
enemy vessel, and shot it with a nuclear torpedo, killing all on board. So they slid in friendly fire.
Nice.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty
Okay,
harsh.
that was the context I needed.
Okay,
or
yeah.
the subtext maybe.
So yeah, it was basically they slipped in an Easter egg to Fallout 3, basically saying, yeah, Black Isle got torpedoed by Interplay.
Dang.
All right.
Cool.
Also, one other question for someone: how does the best Fallout game, Fallout Shelter, fit into all this?
Oh.
Casual.
Wow.
Don't
Hindu loving.
Wow.
you guys? You don't have to respond to
Wow.
it. It's okay. He has no, power
no.
here.
No, I'm the host. You have to reply.
I don't know why you got to be mean to him like that. That's just cruel, man. I mean,
That's just like, I thought you wanted me here because you liked me. I
yeah,
didn't.
exactly.
I thought this was like, oh
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
you wrote a good piece. Let's
That's
get him on the
right.
show. Let's let him talk. No, this is like, hey, you're wrong.
Say his parents. Look, you can say his parents are terrible people, but leave the other stuff out of it, okay? Don't be so cruel.
My franchise.
You know what? I thought Fallout Shelter for a free mobile game was all right. There were some things I liked about it. The way it handled microtransactions really rubbed me the wrong way. But the fact that you could play the entire game and be successful at it, and keep the vault alive and progressing even without the microtransactions, I enjoyed it. It was a good time sink whenever I'm, sitting at the doctor's office or when I need something to do.
Yeah.
You described it like a mother describes her daughter's new boyfriend.
I know.
I mean, he's mean. He's a terrible person. And he steals things, but I still think he's good for her. It's going to be a good relationship.
So Ned, I do have a question for you. As a fellow conspirator, so you've heard a lot of rumors, mainly from Kotaku, about there being an online game. And a lot of people seem to think that it means that it's 100% completely online. What do you think of there being the possibility of another popular franchise? I don't know if you guys have heard of it, Dark Souls, which
I haven't heard it.
there was multiplayer gameplay, but it wasn't necessary to enjoy the game or even to complete the game. It was another object entirely. You had to defend yourself from invaders or invade other people. So do you
Well,
think
now
we
it's up
can
to 6
implement-
players, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up to 6 now. They're remastered.
Yeah.
So do you think there could be a room for them to do something like that in terms of multiplayer aspect, where you can partner with a buddy to defend your settlement from people who are invading and trying to destroy your progress.
I mean, isn't that kind of what they did with Metal Gear Solid 5 with the whole base?
I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Yeah, they did that, but it was very lightly implemented. The whole base thing was just kind of a side thing. I mean, I think what he's probably asking for is something a little more detailed, a little more Bethesda Fallout as far as editing your stats and really being able to customize everything.
Well,
Honestly, sorry, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't know anything. What if, and hear me out, squad multiplayer a la Borderlands?
Nope.
Nope, you don't think so?
Oh, you got shut down.
Nope.
Always do.
No, I looked into Borderlands and like I just couldn't. It was a shmup MMO. You have these
No,
guns, they fire a lot. You get new guns. You rinse, you repeat.
Wow,
it's over.
That is the best way I've
that's-
heard that game described. That is just
You
it's a
wooed
shmup
me.
MMO. It's just it's just like, do you like
But
Ikaruga?
what?
Also love
So
MMOs.
you don't see
Have we got a game for you?
a unique take on that being plausible.
Not a unique take, because I mean, once you've had one shmup MMO, they're all going to be roughly the same, unless they don't do shmup MMO, in which case it's you're gonna have a kind of an ESO but with a Fallout skin to it.
Yeah.
And I do have to give them props, because when ESO was first announced, everyone, myself included, I'm more of an Elder Scrolls guy than I am a Fallout guy, and I was distraught to hear that it would be an online game, because I was like, this is a paradox. You cannot have an online Elder Scrolls game that's like oil and water. They do not mix, and yet they managed to pull it off pretty darn well.
They just threw
It's not-
some dish soap in there.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but they did it. So
So we need to move on first, but I want to pitch my idea for Fallout 76. All
Oh.
right, so it's in the Fallout universe. Okay,
there we go.
That part I like. That's really good.
all right, it's Fallout universe, but it's got the art style and building mechanics of Fortnite. Hold on, and it's also a kart racer.
Battle Royale. Oh,
Get out! Get out!
What are you? You know what? That's dirty. That's 4chan stuff right there. You are above that. You are above that kind of foul mouthness right there, and I'm ashamed of you.
Sentinel Mead.
Sick.
And when I say kart racer, what I actually mean is Sonic R. No.
Cool.
I'm afraid Sentinel Mead and I are going to have to call Liberty Prime on your position
All right.
and ad Victorium.
Let's get to where we're wrapping up. It's getting late here, and so real quick before we move into the final part of the podcast, everybody check out our merch store. There's a link to it in the description. You can buy t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs if that's your thing, posters, stickers. There's even phone skins. Or skins. I mean, when I said skin, I mean like cases. So cool stuff on there. Go check it out. Like I said, link is in the description. Okay.